This past weekend, Level Up Expo 2025 went down in Vegas, with competitors from all across the world coming out to bet it all, though only one would win big. And with a tournament so big, with so much to go over, my usual recap style just isn't going to cut it. My name's Rister Mice, and today we'll be going over every single notable thing from Level Up Expo 2025. We'll talk about storylines coming into the event, upsets that threw pools into chaos, and big bracket runs taking us from top 24 all the way to top 8, which we'll go over step by step until there's just one competitor standing. We've got a lot to go over today, so let's not waste any time and jump right into it. Level Up Expo 2025 is one of two massive tournaments that many are viewing as the last hurrah of Ultimate. Though with Sakurai and his team revealing that they were working on Kirby Air Riders and not a new Smash game, the last hurrah narrative is kind of inaccurate. Let's be real, we're getting at least 2 more years of Ultimate. Either way, Level Up Expo and Kagaribi 13 are seen as a duo, a pair of tournaments that will be the last peak of Ultimate's competition, akin to something like Smash 4's Civil War. Drawing in competitors from Europe, Japan, and all across North America, Level Up Expo 2025 became a premier tier tournament. Not exactly a super premier like Kagaribi will be, but massive nonetheless. And coming into this tournament, the race for number 1 in the world has never been more up for grabs. Hurt, the frontrunner for number 1 so far this year, received a 2-month ban from his sponsor for modding his Nintendo Switch, something that's actually against the law in Japan. This meant that he was sitting out of both Level Up Expo and Kagaribi, a big power vacuum in the number 1 spot. Of the contenders to take that spot, Spargo is the fan favorite, but Akola was statistically most likely to take it, being the only one of the top contenders without a big underperformance. But realistically, there's about 10 or so competitors who could make a strong claim to number 1 in the world in Hurt's absence. Of course, Spargo, Akola, Mia, Sonics, and Light are the obvious choices. But there are also dark horse candidates like Doramigi, one of 2 players alongside Carmelo to not miss a major top 8 so far this year, Syrup, who's been leveling up a ton lately, and Gluttony, who's hot off of his recent win at Battle of BC7. There are also some candidates right below that who could potentially make a case if they have amazing performances at both Level Up Expo and Kagaribi. These include players like Tweak, MKLeo, Ashimo, Shuton, and Raru. As Level Up Expo Smash Ultimate Singles got underway on Saturday, this is what the seeding looked like. And people actually had quite a few problems with it. Do keep in mind that this is a convention tournament, so they host late signups as late as Friday on site. So the seeding is a little different than an event that isn't also a massive convention. But still, people would complain about some people being seeded, as they saw it, too high. Like Shuton's 3rd seed, Doramigi's 7th seed, and Syrup's 5th seed, as well as certain players being seeded too low for some tastes, like Sonics as the 9th seed, Light as the 13th, and MKLeo as the 16th. But as much as people thought the seeding was ridiculous, this really wouldn't end up mattering all that much. Because as bracket got underway, the upsets started to roll in. We'll be going over upsets in descending order of importance, leaving out upsets that we'll cover later on as big bracket runs. Also, I'm going to be saying the words upset factor quite a lot. And if you don't know, that's just a metric used to measure the importance of an upset, with the higher number meaning that it's a more important upset. Here's a graphic by fellow YouTuber Fire the Pyro that might help you understand these numbers a little bit more. Pause to read if you'd like. With that said, let's go ahead and jump right into the solitary upsets. By far, the most notable upsets at this tournament has to be what happened to the 1 seed and worldwide rank 3, Akola, the Japanese Steve extraordinaire. In winner's bracket, Akola had to go up against Kurama, the NorCal Mario who's one of the best reps of the character worldwide. And Kurama would end up winning this set in a 3-1 victory, which clocked in as an upset factor 9, which sent Akola down into loser's bracket.
Can't really put any blocks down or very little. The up smash connects and Kurama takes it!
Once here though, Akola had to fight another Mario player, Skinny the Pooh. A player who's infamous for big upsets at major tournaments, getting wins previously over the likes of MKLeo and Shuton. In Game 5 last stock of this set, Akola was in the lead by around 100%, but then this happened.
No iron! Oh my god! Skinny! 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 Oh! That's it! Skinny! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Skinny the Pooh defeated Akola 3-2, which ended up clocking in as an upset factor 12, the largest of the entire tournament and one of the largest upset factors of all time, which eliminated Akola at 33rd place as the first seed of the tournament. This is huge, because Akola has never placed worse than 9th at a tournament that counted for rankings until now. This is Akola's first ever double-digit placement, and perhaps his first massive underperformance of his entire competitive career. Interestingly enough, Steve players seem to have a weakness to Marios. Of course, Akola got double eliminated by Mario mains here, but even just a few months ago at Genesis X2, Crepe Soleil got upset by a Mario main named OJ Wadler. It's basically only Kurama who has previously struggled in the Steve matchup, but he certainly didn't this time, with Spargo apparently coaching him before this match. And if you thought Akola was the only Japanese top player who underperformed, you're dead wrong. Miya, the rank number 2 and 4th seed of the tournament, also had a rough time. Firstly, in winner's side, Miya had to face off against Omega, America's best Joker main, and would lose 3-1. A loss that clocked in at upset factor 7.
Okay, gotta go for the tether. Okay, upper on the way back down, downward angle, go! And he finds it! And Omega takes it 3-1 over Miya, and look at the...
This is an interesting set, because Miya and MKLeo actually faced off in grand finals of the pre-local for this tournament. And honestly, MKLeo mollywopped Miya, being probably the best player in the world against Game & Watch, as Miya would later tweet. But here's Miya now also losing to another Joker main, which is interesting to see. After this, Miya would drop into loser's bracket and have to face off against Mars. And we all know that at Supernova 2024, Mars had a dominant victory over both of Miya's characters. And headed back over to Twitter, it seems as if even Miya knew he was cooked. Mars would end up defeating Miya 3-0, which clocked in at an upset factor 4 and eliminated Miya at 33rd place as the 4th seed. Yet another underperformance on North American soil for the Japanese Game & Watch. If you're starting to detect a theme here, don't worry, you're onto something. Level Up Expo 2025 was really a story about North America decimating the Japanese competitors, just like what we saw at Battle of BC7. Following this trend, our next upset befell Shuton, the 3rd seed who lost a 3-1 set to Jazo, which ended up clocking in as an upset factor 7 loss. Now, unlike Miya and Akola, Shuton would actually end up making a small loser's run, eventually ending up in loser's side top 24, where he went up against Sonics, who had been defeated by Zamba in a minor upset the previous round. While this set went down to a final Game 5, it was Sonics who would close it out, which was actually an upset that clocked in at upset factor 4, and eliminated Shuton at 17th place as the 3rd seed. Our last upset factor 6 set that we're covering in this section actually took place in one of the first rounds of pools, with a wolf main named Guzma upsetting Rob Slayer, who was the 73rd seed. The reason why this set in particular was such a big upset is because Guzma was practically unseeded, and some people reported on Twitter that this was apparently Guzma's first ever tournament. Whether or not you believe all that is a different story, but either way, it was one of the larger upsets of the tournament. We've only got one set that clocked in at upset factor 5, and it was yet another story of North America defeating Japan, with Mario Falco co-main Ludo defeating Zachary in a 3-1 victory, which cast Zachary down into losers for an eventual 33rd place finish. Our next victim of an upset is the fan favorite Tweak, who got defeated in a close game 5 by Capitan Cito, the best Mii gunner main in the world who has recently returned from a hiatus. This win clocked in at an upset factor 4 for El Capitan, and Tweak was sent into losers, where he'd later lose to Cola in a minor upset to place 33rd. And yes, you've been hearing me correctly. Akola, Mia, Tweak, and Zachary all placed 33rd at Level Up Expo 2025. Lemon, the Canadian Joker main who recently beat Spargo at Best of the West 3, got upset in losers bracket by Lucario main Kai Mystic in a 3-0 loss. An upset factor 4 win that eliminated Lemon at 65th place as the 38th seed. Another episode in NA vs Japan went down in NA's favor, as Canadian Shulk main Elijahman took down the Japanese Mario Snow in a 3-1 victory, an upset factor 4 win. And lastly, we've got another pools upset similar to Guzma vs Robslayer, with Yoshi main Mage Yosh defeating Snake main Tail in a 2-1 victory in pools, our last upset factor 4 win.
Oh no. So close to connecting.
Oh, man, that's it. Yeah. That's it, Elijahman. Yes, sir. There it is. Potential. Aura.
And that's it for the solitary upsets that took place at Level Up Expo 2025. From unseeded pools players making a splash to the best Steve in the world getting double eliminated by Mario, there's quite a lot that went down. But that's not even the end of it. The upsets I didn't cover in this section are connected to players who went on a massive bracket run with several upsets to top 8 and beyond, which is actually what we're going over next. How 24 players got whittled down to just 8. Now, if there's one player we have got to talk about already, it's Kiarash. Coming into Level Up Expo as the 43rd seed, Kiarash started off his run by defeating DeBuzz in a 3-1 victory, which is insane. Rosalina Luigi is considered nearly unwinnable for Luigi, and if Kiarash had stopped here, this still would have been worth noting. But he didn't stop here, next defeating Ludo, who had just beaten Zachary, and then moving on and 3-0ing Gluttony, one of the top seeds of the event, in a massive upset. This allowed Kiarash to move on into winners quarterfinals against Shiny Mark, where, against all odds, he clutched out a game 5, making it into winners side top 8 of a P tier, his first ever major top 8 with solo Luigi.
So confident in his space
Ooh,
control.
Man.
Knows he's got that
Oh
spot.
no! Is that your
what?
life? Yes, it is. Just like that, Kiarash makes it happen. Game 5. The hands are up.
The other winners quarter set of note was Zamba vs Anin, with Zamba having upset Sonics the round earlier and with Anin defeating Karama. Yes, you heard that right. Karama did defeat Akola 3-1 just the round prior, before then losing to Anin. Either way, with the two of them meeting up in winners quarters, Zamba swept Anin in a clean 3-0 to make winners side top 8.
Deep off stage, gonna have one more chance to get back to stage. Zamba doesn't quite get the first dare, doesn't quite get the first bear, but gets the second one, and that's gonna be Zamba moving on.
The other two sets of winners quarters seemed standard, with Rauru, Light, Spargo, and Doramigi all being seeded to make it here. But what wasn't standard was the result of these sets. First of all, Light ended up defeating Rauru in a reverse 3-0, an insane win when you consider that Luigi is one of, if not the worst matchup in the game for Fox. And Light had recently complained about not having any good practice in the matchup. Still, Light managed to clutch it out in the end, making winners semis to face off against Zamba.
So he just goes for the up throw again. This time, Rauru doesn't double jump out of it, and so
That's
Light
it!
has to follow up. He gets the back air, and he's gone. He's off the stage. He has completed the reverse 3-0 to make top 8 winners.
Our last set of winners quarters saw Doramigi demolish Spargo in a 3-0, with game 3 ending in a double 0 to death.
Down air back to safety. Tether cancel there too to get a little bit of extra damage and knock Spargo away.
Uh-oh.
Oh, come on,
Okay, here we
Spargo.
go. And the charge, he got it. Yeah. We're out.
The timing is immaculate from Doramigi, and he puts Spargo down onto his last stock of winner's side.
Ooh,
and he
with
does
the
so
upbeat.
much damage.
Oh, God! No!
The 0 to death, the fist pump, and the trip.
And with that insane game, Doramiki made top 8 versus Kiarash, and Spargo got sent into losers along with Anin, Rauru, and Shiny Mark. Let's see who those 4 would end up fighting. First of all, Rauru would end up going up against MKLeo, who was coming into top 24 from losers after having lost to Anin earlier on in bracket. Leo defeated Gluttony in a close game 5, and Louis Money using his Byleth to make it to Rauru. And even though game 1 started with Rauru going up 3 stocks to 1, Leo made that back, having a rare pop-off after doing so. The set was practically done there and then, with MKLeo defeating Rauru 3-0, eliminating the Japanese Luigi at 9th place and making loser's side top 8.
Yeah, I think he saw the threat. He thought he was going to get an up smash. He actually still pulled there. Oh, that'd be godlike.
No!
Oh my god! That's how you win?
That is...
Anin would end up fighting Wrath, who had just come off of defeating Capitancito in a 3-0 sweep, impressive given Capitancito's history with Sonics, as well as defeating Jazzo, which is unfortunate given Jazzo's history with Wrath himself. Anin versus Wrath would go down to a game 5, but ultimately Anin clutched out the win, moving themselves into loser's side top 8 versus Leo and eliminating Wrath at 9th place.
Connect, Anin with 11 seconds left. Gets caught by the first hit of that up smash, but not the rest of it.
Right? Yeah,
it's cooked.
Yeah.
And a huge pop-off as well after that.
Shiny Mark would end up fighting Syrup, who had just defeated Mudace 3-0 and Cola 3-2 to make it here. Notably, Syrup would use his Ness for this set, since Ness has a pretty decent matchup into Pikachu, and some people consider Pikachu to be losing for Steve, including Shiny Mark himself. And even though it went to a game 5, Shiny Mark continued his dominant record over Ness players offline, winning the set to make loser side top 8 and eliminating Syrup at 9th place.
Like, you see the buttons coming out, that back throw is going to do it. It's not easy to avoid everything that Shiny Mark, everything that Syrup is throwing out. That's tech, dude. Just like that, Shiny Mark is going to take.
And lastly, Spargo would have to face off against Sonics, who defeated Shuton like we mentioned earlier and Ice Knight's Greninja to make it here. As a side note, very big shout out to Ice Knight for that under the radar run. And in the set that could have very well been Grand's, Spargo would defeat Sonics with his Roy in a 3-1 victory, moving into losers top 8 versus Shiny Mark and eliminating Sonics at 9th place, just as he was seeded to.
Forward air is going to send him 125. His hits don't seem to be doing the damage and the forcing that they could be.
Dude, and a jab can do it! The jab to back air, and that's all it takes to frustrate.
And that's our top 8. On the loser's side, we've got Shiny Mark versus Spargo and MKLeo versus Anin, and on the winner's side, we've got Doramigi versus Kiarash and Light versus Zamba. Very notably, this top 8 featured almost no Japanese representation, with Doramigi being the sole hope for the country left in the tournament. We're now going to go over this top 8 exactly in the order that it was streamed. First up was Shiny Mark Spargo, a set that was quite dominant for the world's current rank 1. A clean 3-0 sweep sent Shiny Mark home at 7th place and allowed Spargo to move on in bracket.
Matter of time, this match unfortunately starting to kind of trail out of control here for Shiny Mark. If there was ever time to make a big play, it is most certainly now. 1% of death.
Next up, we've got MKLeo versus Anin, the run back from earlier on in bracket. That set had been a 3-0, but this set actually saw Leo take a game, the adaptation taking form. Sadly though, that would be the only game Leo took, with Anin winning the set 3-1 and eliminating the GOAT at 7th place.
The reversal option with that packs a punch.
Oh my god. Arson is almost here again. Oh my goodness. Oh, no.
The charge.
Moving up to winner's side, we first saw Doramigi versus Kiarash, a set that you'd expect to be dominant for Doramigi. After all, he's got an extensive set history with the best Luigi in the world, Rauru. Rather, what we actually saw was Kiarash taking Doramigi to a last stock game 5 scenario. But it wasn't Kiarash who would clutch this one up, with Doramigi winning the set 3-2, moving into winners finals and casting Kiarash into losers versus Anin.
Doramigi knows this on the platform, ain't about to go down on the ground here.
There it is right here. There's the parry, the long stage parry, up smash. There's the A-frame up smash right there on Doramigi's side, gonna close it out.
The other side of winners semis saw Light and Zamba face off in a classic matchup that usually goes down to a decisive game. That wasn't the case this time, however, as Zomba casually 3-0'd Light to move into winners finals versus Doramigi and cast Light into losers against Spargo.
That just can cover a multitude of a portion of this set.
Dang, those lasers doing a good amount of damage there. Oh, picking up the gyro at the same time, going up and over, but Zomba with the call out, and
damn.
Zomba!
We next moved back down into losers to take a look at Kiarash versus Anand. And unfortunately for today's protagonist, Anand would ultimately win the set in 3-0 fashion, ending the Cinderella run at 5th place and with Anand moving on in bracket.
Kiarash!
All right.
Who do you think you are, sir?
Yeah, Kiarash is like, dang, I'm down 0-2, trying to farm that clip real quick.
I know that's right. Say, if I ain't gonna be the real champ, I'm gonna be the people's champ.
Oh, the block, though, not going to...
Who they'd be meeting there depended on the other side of losers quarters, which saw Spargo go up against Light, a matchup that's been extremely Light favored as of recent. A trend that continued here at Level Up Expo, with Light defeating Spargo in a 3-1 win, eliminating the rank 1 at 5th place and with Light moving into loser semis against Anand. But before we see that, we have to move up and see winners finals of Zomba versus Doramigi.
Back here in the corner here, you gotta set up something here for Spargo. The limit is still close to being complete here. You are gonna be able to get back on the stage because of that. No, that does not finish the limit.
Now this matchup is actually really rough for Min Min. See MK Leo versus Proto Banham at Double Down 2022. But Doramigi is actually quite talented at the matchup, though you couldn't quite tell that by how the first 2 games of this set went, Zomba solidly going up. But then Doramigi managed to take a game, and then another, and then...
There's a little momentum starting to shift here for Zomba, but is it shifting fast enough?
Okay, patience.
Oh, that's a huge hit. He's out of there. Doramigi.
With Doramigi moving into grand finals from winner's side, Zomba was cast down into losers finals, awaiting the resolution of loser semis, Light versus Anand. This set highlighted the skewed matchup of Fox versus basically any Steve, as Anand seemingly effortlessly defeated Light in a clean 3-0, eliminating the previous 2-time champion of Level Up at 4th place, meaning that no matter what happens now, we're crowning a new champion of the Level Up Tourney series.
See this to losers
Getting
finals
walked.
with
Oh,
a
this
3-0.
might be it right
man.
here, depending. Oh my.
Lord have mercy.
You are out of there. That F smash with so much.
Anand now moved into losers finals for the run back from winners quarters versus Zomba, who had won 3-0 earlier in the tournament. But perhaps the reverse 3-0 Zomba suffered just a bit earlier drained his mental state, because not only did Anand win, they did so fairly dominantly.
The Just Do It F smash. I love it.
Why not? Oh, and that might get it. Yes, that is going to do it on an incredible showing on the big stage.
And so, Anand defeated Zomba 3-1 and moved into grand finals from the loser's side, to face off against Doramigi for the title of champion at Level Up Expo 2025. And this set went by fast, the only game that Anand took being the one where Doramigi SD'd at 0 his first stock. And as if things couldn't get any worse, just watch this game 4.
Oh, but oh my goodness. Just that one mistake swinging a little too early cost them potentially everything. What in the hell? The reflect properties of the up smash deleting the absolute shit out of that stock. Oh my goodness.
You gotta. We had to use one of ours just one time for it because
I mean,
you definitely gotta call it out. You gotta call it out. Okay.
It's a Sunday, bro. I don't know who he prayed to for that miracle, but it has been answered. Doramigi is your Level Up Expo 2025 champion.
And so, Anand was eliminated at 2nd place and Doramigi became your champion of Level Up Expo 2025. After all that talk we did about NA defending their home turf, about American players destroying the Japanese players, about how Doramigi was the only Japanese rep to actually make top 8, Japan still won. Is Level Up Expo a tournament about defending against Japan like Battle of BC7 was? In the broad strokes, yeah, maybe. But any way you slice it, I don't think NA is as back as we think it is. Our last 3 big tournaments have all had overseas winners, with Hurt winning Genesis X2 and Doramigi winning here at Level Up Expo. And as much as people like to make Battle of BC7 about defending against Japan, let's not forget, NA didn't win that either. Europe did, under Gluttony. So no, I don't think NA is on top again, but it's close. Today, I still think Japan is the best region, but when Japan comes over to North America, it's no longer a case of every NA competitor bowing out before top 8. It's not a Japan steamroll anymore. While NA is not quite on top, we're starting to fight back. And that, I can hopefully say, is a sign of things to come. But for now, I've been Mr. Mice, and that's going to be it for today's video. Before I go, shout out to my Tier 2 patron Ben L, and an extra special thanks to my Tier 3 supporters Myriad, who says Big D will make it out of a slump, Avidoon, who says Mr. Rice is the goat of Smash content, and Iltis, who says MKLeo always comes back. If you want to support me using any of these methods, links in the description down below. Don't miss my next upload, but until then, I've been Mr. Mice, and thank you all so very much for watching.